Welcome, my name is Brandon. Please join me and my friend Brandon Powman on this tour of the Moorhead Center Mall in Morehead, Minnesota. You have probably guessed by the title screens and the music that this is going to be a somber video. Several tenants' leases expire at the end of 2023. I am going to start with personal commentary and then focus on the malls and the tenants' stories. You may be wondering about the different aspect ratios in this video. Brandon filmed with a Samsung Galaxy Fold phone in its native resolution, which does not fill up an entire television screen. I could have demanded that Brandon film in a 16:9 resolution for a wide screen, but I was curious to see how it would look. I probably won't use this resolution again, but I do enjoy an experiment. Hey, doesn't that television say July 2023? Yes, I returned alone for more footage. At the end of 2022, I read that the Moorhead Center Mall was going to close. I found a peaceful day in January when the weather would be safe to drive 450 miles round trip to see this mall. I could have waited until the summer, but I was worried tenants would have moved out by then. I had been chatting with Brandon Powman on the Dead Malls of Discord server, and we decided to finally meet in person near their home in St. Cloud. The day we met was the same day we decided to drive to Morehead. I remember the minute before getting in Brandon's car, where I thought, okay, are you really going to get in a car with a stranger? You could be murdered, or worse, forced to listen to politics for 5 hours. Several months later, I shared these thoughts with Brandon, who responded with, "You were scared? A quiet guy with a smooth speaking voice? Okay, Ted Bundy." It ended up being a pleasant drive, even with a bit of snow we were not expecting. I had never been to this mall, and Brandon had not been here since 2012. It was fun to explore and share our thoughts. Brandon was also excited to film their first mall. Okay, we are done with this long hallway to nowhere. Don't worry though, we only have 2 more. Let's begin the segue into Moorhead Center Mall's story. I remember visiting another 1970s retro mall in the early days of my channel, Valley Green Square in Leesure, Minnesota. I was so excited to be the first person to film the place. Hey everyone, look at this retro mall that's being partially demolished. That video received my first negative comment. A resident of Leesure thought I was making fun of their town, and was angry that I didn't show compassion for any of the people who had lost businesses due to the demolition. That comment has stuck with me for the nearly 3 years since I shared that video. I will discuss Center Mall's tenants as best I can. While the mall once had national chains, it is populated with locally owned businesses and government offices today. With the mall's closure, a number of people are going to have a difficult holiday season. You may be asking why I'm giving so much attention to the Center Mall tenants when I have not done that for others in previous videos. When I often visit dead malls, the tenants have already left. They saw the writing on the wall and bailed. The situation here is different. Center Mall was at over 50% capacity, and as I mentioned earlier, tenants were forced to leave. Let's discuss Center Mall's history. The history of enclosed malls in Morehead begins in 1961 with the opening of the Mayfair Shopping Center by the Mayfair Corporation. They renamed the shopping center to the Holiday Mall after the Holiday Inn Motel on the property. The owners planned to grow the mall to 222,000 square feet, but instead sold the mall in 1966 to Paul Bjornson. Bjornson was able to grow the mall to 140,000 square feet, with more retail, including a large Tempo department store. However, competition started across the border in Stearns County, North Dakota, with the opening of the West Acres Mall in 1972. The city of Morehead decided they needed a bigger mall to compete with West Acres. As part of an urban renewal project, the city tore down an old residential area and businesses including Coast to Coast Hardware, Woolworths, and the old Moorhead Theater. Moorhead Center Mall opened in March 1973 without an anchor. Early tenants included Palace Clothiers, Newbarth Jewelry, Moorhead Drug, and a restaurant called Highway Host. It also included a 5-story City Hall building. Ownership of Center Mall is a bit different than any mall I have researched. Original tenants own their spaces, as one might with a condominium. The city of Morehead, however, owned the City Hall tower above the mall, as well as the hallways and restrooms. The city also had joint ownership of the parking lots. An anchor, Eckstein's, did finally open in 1980. However, its existence was short-lived. Herberger's moved into the space in October 1983. A large parking structure located west of the mall was built in 1992. Before moving into the 21st century, I wanted to share that in addition to Herberger's, Center Mall had national stores such as Merle Norman, Vanity, Claire's, and Pretzel Maker. Hey, didn't we just pass and open Merle Norman? Good observation. I was not certain how to categorize this. Merle Norman is a national business. This Moorhead franchise has been in operation for over 35 years by Mary Faber Burnt. The store was still posting to Facebook on Halloween 2023. The mall had plans for Stephen Barry's, but that company went bankrupt. Moorhead's original shopping center, Holiday Mall, was torn down in 2001. A 2-story strip mall called Holiday Center Mall, constructed in 2006, now stands in its place. Between 1973 and 2005, the original Highway Host restaurant had changed to T&T's Cafe and a Country Kitchen before becoming Thai Orchid. The Country Kitchen space provided more room for Thai Orchid than its original home in a Hardee's building. In 2006, after the death of one of the mall owners, majority ownership of the mall transferred from TRE Investments to Moorhead Center Mall Limited Liability Corporation. The mall was then managed by Goldmark Real Estate Investment Trust. The earliest article I could find that mentions the downfall of Center Mall is from 2009, but comments on news articles and Reddit suggest the mall had been failing decades before that. The 2009 article mentions that the mall had 46 merchants in 1998, but were down to 29. An article from 2014 says the mall was home to 23 stores, restaurants, and services. Also in 2014, the Osa family purchased Thai Orchid. In 2018, Herberger's closed due to corporate bankruptcy. This left a large parking ramp attached to an empty building and basically useless, except to keep snow off of one's car. The following year, the city of Morehead announced that they had signed a pre-development deal with Fargo-based development company Roars. The city gave Roars the option to purchase city-owned property, including the mall and some surrounding buildings. By December 2020, a master plan was developed for the mall's site. Oh, here we are going down secret hallway number 2. Roars now had 90% ownership of the mall and could bring the plan to fruition. They wanted to create a dense, walkable site like the Roberts Common Development in Fargo, with a lot of new businesses and a parking garage. Or a parking ramp, as we call them in this part of the country. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, in 2022, news broke that the Moorhead Center Mall would close sometime the following year. 50 years after a portion of Moorhead was demolished for a mall, a large portion of that mall will be demolished for a mixed-use complex. According to plans, only the City Hall building will remain. On May 12, 2023, mall tenants received an email from Roars that all leases would expire at the end of the year. Tenants knew the day would come, but were frustrated that despite repeated questions to Roars, they did not know until May. Some tenants claimed they learned about the lease expiration from the media first, instead of Roars. At least one tenant, Thai Orchid, needed to vacate the property before the end of 2023, so their portion of the mall could be demolished before spring 2024 construction on the property. This is the hallway we are going down now. Thai Orchid was ahead on the right. Thai Thai Orchid announced plans to close their restaurant at the end of July 2023. The wife of the original Highway House owner, which was the first restaurant in the mall, was a regular of Thai Orchid. She stopped in to say goodbye to the restaurant. Thai Orchid reopened in Fargo, North Dakota the following October in another former fast food chain, a Taco John's. The owner, Ann Osa, says the place is smaller, but as more people prefer takeout these days, it was a good decision. Oh, by the way, I am not knocking the Taco John's location. One of my favorite Mediterranean restaurants is in an old Taco Bell. Thai Orchid was not the only tenant to leave Moorhead. Krepp's family farm also started the move to Fargo into a strip mall. I hope they do well. I like their Moorhead location. Being right in the center of the mall, I could not help but pass by again and again. I was not ready for lunch, so a coffee and a muffin really hit the spot. Oops, I took a bite before photographing my snack. Oh well. The Department of Motor Vehicles has a lease through the end of November 2025. Roars is willing to help the DMV relocate elsewhere in the mall until their new location opens. A number of tenants were frustrated that the DMV got special treatment, but they received little to no help. Do you think Moorhead Center Mall could have succeeded if the city had updated the mall? I have read comments that people were willing to drive a few miles out of the way from West Acres to Center Mall because Minnesota does not have sales tax on clothing. But over the past few decades, Center Mall has had to compete with big box stores in Morehead. The 5.5 mile drive from West Acres to Center Mall takes 16 minutes. But with the freeway, the 10-mile drive from West Acres to Target or Walmart is only an extra 2 minutes. By the way, here we are in the third and final secret hallway of Center Mall. In other videos, I often share the list of the first tenants of a mall. For Center Mall, I am going to share the list of tenants from July 2023. Clay County DMV, Comfort and Joy Antiques, Downtown Chiropractic, FM Antiques and More, 4 Elements Therapy, Her Styling Salon, His Styling Salon, K&K Crafts, Krepp's Family Farm, Main Impressions, Moorhead Community Access Media, Moorhead Drug, Moorhead Vision Associates, Nails Pro, Therapy Services with Shelley, The 3 Bs, Barb's Basement Boutique, Thai Orchid, Transfiguration Fitness, and Vic's Bar and Grill. As I record this narration in October 2023, 4 Elements Therapy and Transfiguration Fitness have also moved to Fargo. You may be asking why I gave so much more attention to Krepp's and Thai Orchid. To be honest, they are very active on Facebook and I love food. I won't deny it. I probably come off as biased, making the small businesses the heroes and the city of Morehead the villain. I have no connection to Morehead or Fargo, but I like cheering for the underdog. However, after praising small businesses and criticizing the city, I feel I have to say something nice about Morehead. On October 12, 2023, Morehead City Council unanimously approved a resolution of support for a new but smaller mall 2 blocks east of Center Mall. The plan is to turn the old Wells Fargo building into the Morehead Cultural Mall. Are you a current or former resident of the Fargo-Morehead area? Are you going to miss the mall? Are you looking forward to what the future holds for downtown Morehead? I would love to hear your opinions and stories about Center Mall. News of the mall's tenants continues to trickle in. The city of Morehead unanimously approved a tax break for Moorhead Vision Associates. This will help the 99-year-old business move into the yet-to-be-built Azul Center. It is currently an open field, but plans are for foundation work to begin in November 2023, with the shopping area opening in September 2024. Vic's will be moving into the J.C. Chumley's Bar building on Main Street. Nails Pro is moving into the 7th and Main Plaza Strip Mall. The owner of both FM Antiques and More and the Comfort and Joy Boutique is moving the businesses into the old Sears building in the East 10 Strip Mall. While it is great to learn that these tenants have new homes, many of them say it has been stressful and costly to move.
All right, Brandon.
Oh, Brandon.
What are your impressions of the Moorhead City Mall?
Oh, I really love visiting this mall with the 1970s time capsule. I love the brick. It's bigger than I thought it would be. I thought it might be a couple of hallways, but I actually got lost. I didn't even see the other Brandon for several minutes because he went down some windy passages. It's a wonderful place and I hope it stays around for a while. So Brandon, what do you think of the Moorhead Center Mall?
I think it's fascinating because it actually speaks to what is a dead mall. There are no national chains here that are of note, but there's clearly a lot of community stuff going on inside. There's a lot of small local businesses that are serving the locals, which is kind of nice. And I agree, Brandon, that the decor is just classic, just before I was born, 1970s awesomeness. I'm glad we drove 2.5 hours to come up here.
Brandon thought it would be fun to interview each other after visiting the mall. I debated leaving our interviews on the cutting room floor. Mine feels so naive now that I know the fate of the mall. But I wanted to share how I felt back in January 2023. I had an optimism that maybe the mall wouldn't close down so soon. Thank you for joining me and my friend Brandon on this tour of the Moorhead Center Mall in Morehead, Minnesota. I will check back on this location over the next few years. I hope to share more stories about the future of its former tenants. I hope to have something to share about the new Culture Mall too. And I have one more thing to hope for. I hope you have a great day. Take care.